Sometimes the most powerful love stories are the ones that end. Not with a grand finale or a fairy tale ending, but with the quiet realization that some people aren't meant to be forever. They're meant to change us, teach us, and then slip away like sand through our fingers. This is the story of two people who found each other when they needed it most, only to discover that love isn't always enough to bridge the distance between two worlds. The Riverside Grand Hotel was draped in elegant gold and ivory, the epitome of old money sophistication. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen fireworks above the marble ballroom, casting a warm glow on the city's most prominent families. Every woman wore couture, every man wore tailored perfection, and every conversation revolved around wealth, power, and legacy. Victoria Ashford stood near the grand staircase, perfectly poised in a stunning navy gown, her diamond necklace catching the light with every measured movement. At 28, she was the definition of elegance and privilege. Her family's name had been synonymous with wealth for 3 generations. She had gone to the finest schools, traveled the world, and had every door in high society open to her. Yet tonight, like so many nights before, she felt utterly hollow. Her mother, Catherine, appeared at her side with a champagne flute. "Darling, Richard Pemberton has been asking about you. His family is even wealthier than ours, and he's actually quite handsome." "I think, Mother, I don't want to marry Richard Pemberton," Victoria interrupted gently. "I don't even know him." "That's precisely the point," Catherine replied, her smile tight. "You marry someone suitable and then you grow to love them. That's how it's always been done in our circle." Victoria had heard this speech countless times. Love wasn't a prerequisite in her world. Compatibility based on bloodlines, bank accounts, and social standing was all that mattered. She excused herself and wandered toward the terrace, desperate for fresh air and solitude. That's when she saw him. He stood alone by the balcony railing, distinctly out of place in this sea of diamond-studded opulence. His tuxedo was well-fitted but not designer. His watch was elegant but understated. What struck her most was his expression. He looked at the city lights stretched below them with genuine wonder, not the practiced disinterest of someone accustomed to luxury. "Beautiful view," she said softly, approaching him. He turned and their eyes met. His were a warm brown, honest and kind. He smiled. "It is. I've never seen the city from this height before." "You're new to these kinds of events?" she asked, genuinely curious. "Is it that obvious?" He laughed. "I'm Michael Chen. I work for the Riverside Community Foundation. I was here to give a presentation on our youth programs that the Ashford family sponsors." "You're the director," Victoria realized. She'd heard her father mention it. "My father was impressed with what you're doing. He's been incredibly generous to the foundation," Michael said. "Without his support, we wouldn't be able to help nearly as many kids." They talked for hours. Michael told her about the young people he worked with, kids from broken homes, dangerous neighborhoods, without any hope for a better future. He spoke with such passion, such genuine love for his work, that Victoria found herself captivated. He asked about her life, and when she tried to make it sound more interesting than it was, he called her out gently. "You're not happy," he said. It wasn't a question. Victoria was stunned by his perceptiveness. "What makes you say that?" "Because I see it in your eyes. The same look I see in young people who have everything materially but nothing spiritually. Everything you could possibly want, but no idea who you're supposed to be." She wanted to deny it, but she couldn't lie to those honest brown eyes. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who's lived the opposite life," Michael said softly. "I grew up with nothing, Victoria. My parents worked 3 jobs between them to keep me fed. But my mother, she always made sure I knew I was loved, that I had purpose. I think you're still looking for that. When Michael left the gala that night, Victoria realized she hadn't felt that empty hollowness in hours. She had simply been present, genuine, and alive. That was the night everything changed. They started meeting in secret. Coffee shops far from Victoria's usual haunts, afternoon strolls through parks where no one would recognize them, late-night conversations on the rooftop of Michael's modest apartment building. Each meeting was like breathing fresh air after years in a suffocating room. Michael took her to the community center where he worked. She saw the transformations he created in young lives. A girl who went from homeless and addicted to attending community college on a full scholarship. A boy who traded gang violence for a career in carpentry. An entire community of people who had nothing but faith in each other. "This is incredible," Victoria said, watching Michael teach an after-school program in basic financial literacy. "Do you realize what you're doing?" "I'm just trying to give back," Michael said simply. "These kids deserve chances, Victoria. They didn't choose to be born into poverty." Victoria realized in that moment that she had never truly understood poverty. She had donated money, attended charity galas, but she had never looked into the eyes of someone who was truly struggling. Michael opened her eyes. When Michael met her parents, everything fell apart. The Ashfords threw a dinner party to meet Victoria's new friend. Michael arrived with flowers for Catherine and a genuine smile. He made conversation, showed interest in their work, was polite and charming. On paper, he did everything right. After Michael left, her father William called her into his study. "That's the Community Foundation director?" he said, his tone measured but cold. "Yes, father. His name is Michael Chun. He's wonderful and he's not from our world, Victoria. He's a good man, certainly, but he'll never have the security, the stability that you deserve. In 5 years, he'll look at you with resentment that he's not wealthy. In 10 years, he'll blame you for not achieving his dreams. These things always end badly." "That's not fair," Victoria protested. "You don't even know him." "I know his kind," William said quietly. "I admire his work, truly. But admiration isn't the same as compatibility. You come from different worlds. Eventually, those differences will create an unbridgeable chasm." Catherine approached the conversation differently. "Darling, we love you. That's why we need to be honest. Michael is a good man, but imagine your life. He can never give you the lifestyle you were born into. You would always be waiting for the other shoe to drop. The house you couldn't afford, the vacations you couldn't take, the schools you couldn't send your children to. Is love really enough to sustain that sacrifice?" Victoria wanted to believe it was. But as the weeks went on, Michael grew quieter. He would look at her apartment, her clothes, her life, with an increasingly distant expression. He started working longer hours at the foundation. When they were together, she caught him studying her with an almost sad expression. Finally, one evening on his apartment's rooftop, he said the words she had been dreading. "We can't do this, Victoria." Her heart broke. "Why not?" "Because I love you too much to destroy your life," he said, his voice tight with emotion. "Your father is right. I heard him say those things to you. I'm not angry with him, he's trying to protect you. And he's not entirely wrong. Don't listen to him. I don't care about money, about social standing." "But you will," Michael interrupted gently. "Not consciously, maybe, but you come from a world of certain expectations, certain luxuries. And I can't be the man who forces you to give all that up. What happens 10 years from now when you realize what you sacrificed for me? I would never regret." "Yes, you would," he said. "Maybe not today, maybe not next year. But eventually, unconsciously, you would. And I would see it in your eyes, just like you saw it in your parents' eyes. That quiet resignation. And I don't want that for you, Victoria. I love you too much." She left his apartment that night with tears streaming down her face. But Michael didn't stop her. Sometimes real love means letting go. Victoria tried to move forward. Her mother set her up with Richard Pemberton. He was handsome and kind enough, and his family was indeed as wealthy as promised. She attended more galas, more charity events, more networking dinners. She said all the right things and wore all the right clothes. But she was a ghost moving through her own life. 2 years passed. She was planning her wedding to Richard, a lavish affair that would unite two of the city's most prominent families. The guest list had already reached 300 people. Her mother was in her glory, orchestrating every detail. Her dress alone cost more than Michael's entire annual salary. She kept that thought to herself. One evening, she was at the foundation's annual fundraising gala. Ironically, the same event where she had first met Michael. She was there with Richard, fulfilling her duty as a sponsor's daughter. And then she saw him. Michael stood across the ballroom, speaking to potential donors. He wore the same non-designer tuxedo, but he carried himself with quiet pride. He looked happy, genuinely happy. He was with a woman, beautiful, kind-looking, from the community he served, Victoria could tell. She had one hand on his arm, and she looked at him the way Victoria used to. Their eyes met for just a moment. Michael's expression flickered. Surprise, sadness, resignation. Then he turned back to the woman beside him and smiled. She smiled back. Victoria excused herself and went to the bathroom, where she cried quietly behind a closed stall door. Not because she and Michael had broken up. They had made the right choice for both of them. But because she finally understood what they had really been. A moment in time that changed them both forever. 3 weeks before her wedding, Victoria made a decision that shocked everyone around her. She called off her engagement to Richard. He was shocked, hurt, but ultimately understanding. "Is there someone else?" he asked. "No," she said truthfully. "There's only me. And I realized I have no idea who that person is." Her parents were furious. "Do you understand what you're doing?" her mother asked, her voice sharp. "The humiliation, the gossip, everything we've built." "Mom, I'm sorry," Victoria said quietly, "but I can't live this life anymore. I can't marry someone I don't love just because he's suitable. I can't pretend that charity work is enough when I feel called to do more. I can't keep disappointing myself to meet your expectations." "What are you going to do?" her father asked wearily. "I'm going back to school," Victoria announced. "I'm going to get my master's degree in social work. I'm going to use my resources, our resources, to actually help people, not just write checks at galas." "And what about Michael?" her mother demanded. "Michael has moved on," Victoria said softly. "And that's okay. What we had was real, but it was never meant to be forever. He was a catalyst for change, and I will always be grateful for that." Chapter 5. 5 years later, the community center's new wing was beautiful, modern, functional, filled with resources and hope. Victoria stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, now the director of social programs for the Riverside Community Foundation. She had earned it through dedication and hard work, not through family connections. Michael was there, along with his wife Elena and their 2-year-old daughter. He had been promoted to executive director, and he was thriving. When they made eye contact, they both smiled, not with passion or longing, but with genuine fondness and respect. After the ceremony, they spoke briefly. "You did good work here," Michael said, gesturing to the new wing. "We did," Victoria corrected him. "This was always your vision. I just helped fund it." "You did more than that," Michael said. "You believed in it. And you believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." "I still believe in you," Victoria said. Just like I always will. Elena put her hand on Michael's arm. There was no jealousy in her gesture, just understanding. She knew the story. She knew what Michael and Victoria had meant to each other, and she was secure in what they meant to each other now. As Victoria watched them walk away, Michael pointing out the building features to his daughter, Elena's head resting on his shoulder, she felt a deep sense of peace. They had loved each other completely and genuinely. But love isn't always about forever. Sometimes, real love means recognizing when the best thing you can do for someone you care about is to let them go. Sometimes, the greatest love stories are the ones that end not in tragedy, but in mutual growth and understanding. Victoria thought back to that night on Michael's rooftop when he had said, "I love you too much to destroy your life." He had been right, not because he would have destroyed her, but because loving him had pushed her to become the person she was meant to be all along. Epilogue. A year later, Victoria met someone new. His name was James, and he was a social worker like her. He understood her world and her work equally well. He made her laugh, challenged her thinking, and loved her with the same genuine, honest intensity that Michael had. But this time they were equals. Same values, same goals, same vision for their life together. As she said yes to his proposal, not at a grand society event, but at sunrise overlooking the city from a public park, she thought of Michael. She sent him a mental thank you. Thank you for loving her enough to let go. Thank you for showing her that real love sometimes means sacrifice. Thank you for changing her life. The city stretched below them, filled with people of all kinds, from all walks of life, all searching for connection and meaning. And Victoria finally understood. The most beautiful love stories aren't always the ones that last forever. Sometimes they're the ones that transform us, teach us, and then release us to become who we're truly meant to be. She looked at James with his hopeful, kind smile, and she thought, this is where I'm supposed to be. And for the first time in her life, she truly believed it. The end.